I'm Motley Fool Canada Senior Analyst Nick Seipel, and this is the 5 Minute Major, here to make you a smarter investor in about 5 minutes. Today, we're discussing the recent news out of Constellation Software that its founder and president, Mark Leonard, is stepping down, and we'll be talking about what it all means for investors. My guest today is Motley Fool Canada Chief Investment Officer Ian Butler. Ian, thanks for joining me.
Great to be here as always, Nick.
So, Ian, the market reacted with a jolt last week to news that Mark Leonard was stepping down as president of Constellation Software. Constellation, one of the best performing stocks on the Toronto Stock Exchange, going back for a decade plus. For investors who are seeing a legendary founder from one of the best performing stocks in Canada depart, how should they be thinking about this change and what it means for the company's future?
For sure. Maybe before we get into that, we'll just take a 30 seconds or so, or maybe a bit more, just to run through what Constellation Software is, a business description, because can almost promise you I could stop 10 people on the street anywhere in Canada and they would have never heard of this company, despite it being one of the great success story when it comes to technology companies that Canada's ever born. I mean, you alluded to it, but we're talking about a company that's generated a return of just less than 21,000% since it first listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange back in May 2006. I was in the Canadian investment industry in 2006. I wish I would have bought some shares back then. I did not. However, Constellation, so software company, they indeed provide vertical market software across a plethora of industries, and we're talking really niche software that goes into sort of everyday life that nobody really even thinks about. But it's very lucrative, it's very cash generative. But the real magic here is, though, despite it being a software provider, Constellation is actually a finely tuned acquisition machine. They have done thousands of acquisitions. That's where they've gotten their growth from over the years, and they have a real process that is that they perfected. They are capable of making acquisition after acquisition that have been highly accretive to their shareholders. And Mark Leonard, their founder, formerly and the president that just resigned, is really the architect of this system. But the beauty of the system is, and why we are such admirers of Mark Leonard, is that it is void of key person risk. This is Leonard's the architect, but it does not require one person to run this machine. It requires a vast array of people that all contribute to the machine. You take a person out, the machine will keep running. So I think we're looking at status quo on this front, despite our admiration for Leonard. Taking his place is Mark Miller, a 30-year veteran of the company. He was actually, I believe, the leader of the first company that Leonard bought back in the day. And Miller has seen the magic of this machine in action for decades and really has indicated that there is absolutely no reason to make any change whatsoever to the course of direction that Constellation is on.
Yes, you think about if Constellation were a restaurant, the folks working in the kitchen may change, but the recipes are going to be the same. So, with the context of that transition behind us, the change of the head chef, where does Constellation go from here? Been among the best performing stocks on the TSX, going back the past almost 20 years. Can the company keep delivering those kinds of results without its founder at the helm?
Yeah, it's a great analogy. I like the restaurant analogy. Perfectly put. So they did a call. This is a company that's typically media shy or market shy when it comes to communication. They don't do quarterly conference calls, but they did a call to sort of talk through this transition, and Miller laid out a clear set of priorities. And it's just as I alluded to, business as usual is his top priority, and this has been the company's top priority since it came out, is capital deployment. They take free cash flow that they generate buckets of and reinvest it at very pleasing rates of return. We're talking 25 to 30% internal rates of return. And a lot of people love dividends, love it when companies pay out dividends. This is a company that we do not want to pay a dividend because they have such talent in taking that capital and reinvesting it better than I can, better than you can, better than anybody listening to this can. So we want them to keep that capital, keep it churning, keep the acquisitions coming, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Secondly, like I say, Leonard's created this machine. He's the architect of the machine. A big part of the machine are people, but people are replaceable, frankly, and long-term succession planning and people development are very much part of the machine, and that will continue to be the case as well. And I think maybe the one change or slight tweak that was alluded to on the call, Miller indicated that though he's not changing the strategy, he does bring a slightly more operational viewpoint, as his background 30 years ago, I must say, when he sold his company, was he was a computer programmer. Mark Leonard had more of a financial background, so maybe got a slightly more practical take on the Constellation Empire. But I think again he's been so close to the heart of the operation that we're really not going to skip a beat. So. Will Constellation provide a 21,000% return over the next 20 years? Probably not, just because it's so much bigger than it was. But will it beat the market and provide investors with a really attractive risk reward relationship? I think absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is a story where obviously noteworthy, the founder of one of the best performing companies in Canada, departing, certainly worth covering. But I think the trajectory of the business not going to be changed by this. It's a culture that has been built over time, and hopefully can keep executing that to really strong returns for investors in the years to come. We'll continue to follow Constellation Software as they keep giving us more to talk about. But until then, that's all the time we've got for this edition of the 5 Minute Major. Hope to see you next time.